a relatively small viable market, and a lack of initial incentive for new audiences to embrace streaming over traditional formats quickly. I believe the golden bullet to success is time. Being able to stay in the game long enough for all these elements to organically evolve and converge to the unique audiences within each country with bespoke solutions. There will, of course, come a point when you will need to serve millions of users and concurrencies of these levels. It is only at this point, however, that you should commit to a stronger platform and scale up accordingly. Until then, don't throw your money away. This should be seen no differently as buying more satellite capacity when required. The only difference is that viewing trends have changed, customers gradually moving to consuming content via their personal devices, and the expectations go beyond the traditional single-play living room experience to a multi-play access in and out of home. So broadcasters need to move to this new delivery mechanism, meeting this demand. Cross the chasm first, and then adjust the business model and associated technical requirements from there. We've just seen this with SABC Plus, which is the SABC's new streaming service, just under a year old, when we have had the Rugby World Cup. Right-sized from the start, the SABC has remained affordable to run, and when we hit very overwhelming uptake during the first week of the Rugby World Cup, we scaled up to support greater concurrency with the ability to still go down if required, all the while supporting an overall incremental rise in registered users and active monthly users. So how do you get out of the starting blocks? What competencies are needed? With the following approaches, you can launch a service, we believe, in 3 months. 1, keep it simple. Start with a basic interface. Don't be afraid to use a template. You don't need a bespoke Porsche UI to start. Allow simplicity to keep you nimble, to adjust direction as the market demands, and then enhance the user experience accordingly. Don't overspec your content offering. When the SABC took over the platform from Telkom, Telkom One offered not only all of the free-to-air TV channels and radio channels offered by the SABC, but a subscription bundle of very highly targeted quality SVOD content, plus another extensive bundle of premium local and international FVOD content. SABC removed all the third-party content when they took over, more than halving the content catalogue. And as of today, the registered base on SABC Plus in just 11 months is 230% greater than it was on Telkom, or what they achieved in 2 years. You don't need expensive second-run content to start, if ever. Rather, keep your service focused on the content that you have, your channels, a VOD offering to allow for catch-up and view on demand, and continue to invest in local original content production that captivates the audience and that just making it available now, but through a new medium. Do make sure that you have a marketing strategy and budget to meet your audience with an always-on conversational and targeted digital plan. CRM is essential. And engagement based on personalization and segmentation is also essential. Competence here is crucial. Make sure the person who writes any RFPs or RFQ requirements is competent, understands the nuanced industry, and has real-life experience with OTT streaming services in Africa. And even more so, make sure that the team evaluating these submissions have the same knowledge. Entering the OTT space is a long-term strategy, dependent on a host of integrated technologies to deliver a new stream of content. And these costs, if not managed, can skyrocket without the industry knowledge and competencies to manage the ecosystem. One of the biggest advantages of IP-delivered content and OTT services is the return path of accurate data, user behavior, and audience consumption information that can be received. This is an exceptional tool to allow you to respond to market use cases, which in turn support your marketing, content, and advertising strategies. So lastly, and perhaps firstly, ensure that you have the competency in your organization to run the process, to spec the requirements, to evaluate the strength of submissions, to compare apples with apples, and to manage the operational nature of the business internally. Ensure you have the correct resources in-house, or ensure that you bring in a managed services company such as ours, and there are others, to advise, strategize, and facilitate your transition into OTT across the board, technically and in terms of content and in terms of marketing. don't end up in the graveyard of players with champagne tastes and Coca-Cola budgets when customers to start are only looking for Coca-Cola. Let us help you avoid the mistakes that many have made. Thank you very much. I will be outside a little bit later if there are any broadcasters or any other parties who would like to discuss this in more detail. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. You have done a wonderful job. Mmemaliza kabla ya wakati. Naomba tumpigie makofi kwa wingi kwa kufanya kazi nzuri na kuhakikisha anaendelea kutunza muda vizuri. Na kinachofuata sasa ni panel discussion. Mjadala ambao utahusisha pamoja wataalamu hapa na kiongozi wa huo mjadala kwa sasa naomba nitumie fursa hii sasa kumuita Cecil Nguvauva ambaye ndiye mwongozaji wa mjadala ambao utafuata muda si mrefu kutoka sasa. Cecil Nguvauva, wakati mambo yanakaa sawa sawa, atakuwa hapa muda si mrefu kutoka sasa, lakini ataongoza mjadala ambao unahusu assessing the dynamics of broadcast operations driven by a converged digital ecosystem. Utahusisha watu mbalimbali ambao yeye mwenyewe mwongozaji wa mjadala atakuja hapa muda si mrefu kwa ajili ya kuwatambulisha wenzake atakaokuwa nao. Bila shaka mtafurahia, na mjadala huo utakuwa ni kwa takriban dakika 40 kutoka sasa. Niendelee kutumia fursa hii pia wakati akijiweka sawa sawa kuwaeleza utaratibu wa mambo mengine muhimu ambayo tutayafanya katika siku hii ya leo. Niwakumbushe tu kwamba pia mnakaribishwa sana leo kwenye chakula cha usiku ambacho kitakuwa katika hoteli ya Madina Tulbahari, na kila kitu kinaandaliwa na kuratibiwa kama jana ilivyofanyika. Kwa hiyo mkae tayari pia kwa ajili hiyo, lakini ukumbushe pia baadaye tutakuwa na ratiba rasmi ya kufunga mkutano huu wa 30 wa Saba ambayo itakuwa na viongozi mbalimbali pia wa serikali. Atakuwepo hapa Waziri Riziki Pembe Juma ambaye ndio atafunga shughuli yetu hii muhimu. Kwa hiyo kutakuwa kuna ratiba kuanzia saa 10 mpaka saa 11:30 za jioni, na mara baada ya hapo tutaelekea moja kwa moja kwenye chakula cha usiku, kwa sababu leo kidogo tutachelewa kumaliza. Kwa hiyo hatutorejea tena hotelini, tutaelekea moja kwa moja kwenye chakula cha usiku ili iwe rahisi kwa ajili ya kufanya taratibu mbalimbali. Basi kaeni tayari kwa ajili ya mjadala ambao unafuata muda si mrefu kutoka hivi sasa.
Asili yake inachagiza na kuleta taswira ya kuvutia ya uzuri na maendeleo. Hii ni Tanzania, nchi inayokualika kwenye safari ya kuvutia kupitia mandhari adhimu, historia tajiri, maendeleo ya kisasa na watu mashuhuri ambao wameunda historia yake. Simulizi yetu inaanza na mapambano ya uhuru yaliyoongozwa na viongozi wenye maono ambao ni Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere na Abeid Amani Karume. tarehe 9 Disemba mwaka 1961 ni siku muhimu kwa taifa hili. Ni siku ambayo nchi yetu ilijikomboa kutoka kwenye utawala wa kikoloni. Viongozi hao wawili kwa pamoja waliunganisha Tanganyika na Zanzibar mwaka 1964 na kuzaliwa kwa taifa tunalolifahamu leo, Tanzania. Kupitia kauli ya baba wa taifa iliyosema uhuru wa Tanganyika hautakamilika kama nchi zingine za Afrika hazitakuwa huru, ilichochea Tanzania kuwa mstari wa mbele kwenye kuleta ukombozi wa uhuru wa nchi za kusini mwa Afrika ikiwemo Zimbabwe, Msumbiji, Namibia, Afrika ya Kusini na Angola. Hii leo lugha adhimu ya Kiswahili ndio lugha mama ya taifa hili na ndio lugha yenye wazungumzaji zaidi ya milioni 200 barani Afrika. Mbali ya historia yake ya kuvutia, Tanzania ina maajabu ya asili ambayo hayana kifani. Hifadhi ya Taifa Serengeti ni jukwaa la wanyama porini kama vile simba, tembo, chui, nyati na faru wanaoranda kwa madaha. Mlima Kilimanjaro ambao ni mlima mrefu zaidi barani Afrika ni ishara ya ulinzi wa milele wa uzuri wa Tanzania usiodhibitiwa. Bila kusahau bonde la Oldupai ambalo ni historia na chimbuko la binadamu, na madini ya Tanzanite ambayo kwa kipekee duniani hupatikana kwenye ardhi ya Tanzania. Hata hivyo, uzuri wa Tanzania umepambwa kwa miundombinu ya kisasa ikiwemo viwanja vya ndege vya kimataifa, bandari, barabara zenye kiwango cha hali ya juu, madaraja marefu kama vile Kigongo Busisi lenye urefu wa zaidi ya kilomita 3. Bila kusahau reli ya kiwango cha kimataifa yaani SGR inayosonga mbele kama joka la chuma. Lengo ni kuchochea usafirishaji na biashara. Hivi unawezaje kutoutaja ukubwa na ubora wa mradi wa bwawa la kufua umeme wa maji la Julius Nyerere? Mradi huu utaliwezesha taifa kuwa na umeme wa uhakika na wa ziada kuuzwa kwa nchi jirani. Katika zama hizi za kidijitali, Tanzania imeendelea kuwa mstari wa mbele kwa kurahisisha mawasiliano kwa kuunda mkongo wa taifa wa mawasiliano na kuwaunganisha Watanzania na ulimwengu. Kwa lengo la kuchochea maendeleo endelevu, Tanzania imeweka historia ya kuhamisha makao makuu ya serikali kutoka pwani ya Dar es Salaam hadi katikati ya nchi, Dodoma. Hatua hii ya kimkakati inakamilisha ahadi ya taifa ya maendeleo sawa na umoja. Na tukizungumzia umoja na usawa, hapa ndipo mahala pake. Tanzania imeweka historia ya kuwa na rais wa kuigwa, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan. Mwamba huyo hapa. Mwanamama huyu ndiye rais wa kwanza mwanamke wa Tanzania na Afrika Mashariki. Unapozungumzia watu mashuhuri kwenye uso wa dunia, huwezi kuacha kuwataja wa Tanzania. Hapa utakutana na manguli wa siasa na diplomasia kama vile Dr. Salim Ahmed Salim, Dr. Asha Rose Migiro, bila kusahau wanamichezo kama vile.
Thank you so much. Cecil is right over here right now, and there are some changes a bit. The panel discussion is about local content production and distribution strategies, appraisals and lessons from markets and players across Africa. Karibu sana Cecil kwa ajili ya kuongoza mjadala na utatambulisha wenzako ambao uko nao katika mjadala. Naomba tumpigie makofi wakati akisogea hapa kwenye kinasa sauti. Makofi mengi, amekuwa akifanya kazi nzuri sana tangu jana. Karibu Cecil, you're welcome.
Anna, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for being, right, okay. We've actually been running some errands at the same time. we were trying to manage, so many things, at the same time. And it's very demanding, though. You would actually appreciate that being in the organizing seat, and trying to do all things, is not so easy. But thank you very, very, very much. We hope you are enjoying everything. Hope the coffee break was good, nice and refreshing with nice coffee. And I'm told this coffee is only available in Zanzibar. I do not know if it is fake news or not, I don't know. We still have to verify that one, right? Yeah. Allow me, please, to take the next panel dealing with local content production and distribution strategies, where we will be looking at what lessons we can take from the market currently, what the right approach is normally, and especially on our continent, Africa. And please, join me in calling upon some few learned people and very well-informed people to help us unpack, this matter. We want to call upon Mr. Lynn Mansfield to the podium. Lynn is a very young media professional who has been there for quite a while. He has his good time at the SABC in his backs, and as you can see, the youthful one, right? Lynn, welcome. Karibu. All right. Please take a seat. Thank you very much. We would also like to appreciate Menen Gabri from SES. I hope I have pronounced your name correctly. She is actually based in Ethiopia. She was actually referred to earlier on, running a very strong platform for the company called SES. Youthful, very learned, very exposed, and the rest of the stuff we'll check on the internet. Right, my sister from the other side of Kilimanjaro will tell us how to do it now, this time with the logarithms actually set. Right, welcome. Yeah, right. All right. So we have two of our colleagues online, right? They are Mike Strano, the co-founder and COO of My Movies Africa. They are online. And Tigist, she's also based in the UK. So she's in the UK normally. Habisha View, she's also online. And we will have another person to this platform, and that is my colleague, Tando Shosi. Tando, she's surprised. Tando, this is your platform. She is on the platform. Yeah, Tando. She is, yes, I was actually looking for that. Motibi, thank you. Right, so Tando is the Africa lead for a wildlife program. She's into training and taking us further into the good things about wildlife and conservation issues. She has a big background in broadcasting from the SABC. Please, Tando, welcome to the podium. Join us. You will. No more online. Oh, I'm actually being informed the online presence is challenged at the moment. But we will actually be going. And please, allow me to welcome two ladies to the podium today. After my complaints yesterday, the organizers of this event went further and got two ladies for you doing a panel. Is that not an achievement? Are we not doing good? Please. Thank you so very much. We will be talking about one key thing, and that is content distribution, what we do, what we do not do, what we're supposed to be doing. Are we on the right path? That is what we will be unpacking. Tando, please tell us a little bit about your background and yourself.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I'm quite nervous because I wasn't ready for this one, but we've got to just be present, jump in, right? Okay, my name is Tando Shozi. I am a NUF's Africa lead distributor. NUF is Nature, Environment, Wildlife Filmmakers Congress that takes place in Durban each year in February. And it's all about ensuring that Africans begin to see themselves reflected on screen. And it's about really bringing in young people, and I'm going to deliberately say Black people, into the space of nature, wildlife, and environmental issues. That's where I am on a consulting basis. I have been at the SABC for 27 years. I left in 2021 and started my own company, Sunrise Emandleni, which specializes in skills development training in the production field and consulting work, and I'm easing into the space of documentary storytelling. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tando. And we will be talking to you a little later. You will also be presenting to us a little later in the program as to what exactly you do. And that will be highly appreciated. So those of us who may have questions, Tando will have another session later. So please, hold on to the questions. I know we're trying to run, so everybody will have a good opportunity and chance to also network later. But that said, Minim, tell us a little bit about your operations.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. I am Menen Agenyo. I'm a senior sales manager for East Africa in ACS. Well, some people, they say that this industry aims for the stars. Don't worry, I'm not going to take your questions into our space. But I'm firmly planted in the free-to-air market for the past 5 years, leading the free-to-air market in Ethiopia as well as in East Africa. In total, I have 15 years of experience in technology, spanning both in space industry, like satellite industry, as well as in telecom. I have some impressive achievements in my 15 years of experience. I have achieved to help the 10 million TV homes in Ethiopia to switch to our satellite. And also, I ensured a $400 million project in my previous telecom company, Ericsson. So my real passion is using satellites to connect people and enhance communication. So if you have any questions regarding the panel, or if you have any question regarding our world of satellite, feel free to reach out to me until Friday. I'm around here. So thank you so much for showing interest in our satellite. As I said earlier, I'll keep our conversation down to earth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manam. My youthful brother, Lynn, tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, where you're coming from.
Thank you, everyone. I'm a pre-television child. On the 1st of June, I celebrated my 50th year in broadcasting and still enjoying it. I spent 43 years at the SABC and the balance with ETV, a commercial broadcaster in South Africa. And what I've seen is when broadcasting gets in your blood, you can't get out of you. I've had a really great career. Thank you.
Right, Lynn. Now, staying on with you, the other colleagues are not on yet, so we basically just forget about them. Rolling out, content, especially to this continent, and distributing content might be very challenging, isn't it? Why?
I think, what we've seen is the production of the content. When one started with PAL-I, the analog system, and then progressed to digital standard definition, it is a totally different thing producing HD content. The sets, every screw hole, every little mark, piece of tape on the set that you never saw on analog or with SD shows up quite brightly on an HD. So your whole production, the production people actually have to go back to training to actually learn how to handle HD. The quality is superb. I always say going from SD to HD is like going from black and white to color television. It is a quantum leap. I personally, from going to ultra high definition, maybe I'm too old, but I don't see the difference that great. But when you look at your viewers in your particular country, your viewers, when they're doing their own thing at home, they've got a Sony PlayStation, a Blu-ray DVD, a flat screen, HD television set. So when your viewers are doing their own thing, they're consuming HD. So as a broadcaster, if you're going to offer them SD content, how long are you going to stay relevant? So I think it is something that your audience is demanding. They want that extra quality, particularly with sport. You can see every blade of grass. Once you've experienced it, to go back to SD is not really an option. It comes with cost, particularly your transmission. But what we've seen too is a lot of these digital platforms that are out there can handle a lot of content, and they're content hungry. But many particular public broadcasters have a single channel. Now they land up with a DTT multiplex that can handle 20 SD channels. Where does the content come from? We've got our own satellite platform, free to view satellite platform in South Africa. But it comes a time where it is quite different to subscription, where you start cannibalizing your audiences because you rely on advertising. So it doesn't mean more channels, your input cost goes up, but your return on investment doesn't really go up. So you've got to balance that. So I think, with a lot of countries sitting with all this capacity now, because spectrum is no longer a scarcity. I see in local production is that the scarcity of spectrum actually kept your competitors out the door. But now, once you remove the spectrum scarcity, a lot more players can be licensed by the regulators.
Raising a very interesting topic as to how broadcasters actually align themselves now towards making use of the available spectrum in terms of content distribution and making use of that platform as well. And not many broadcasters actually can afford, number one, and also not having probably the right skills and knowledge on the floor to make use of this. Do you think there is an opportunity for?
Yeah, I think, what we've seen particularly in South Africa is local content. People want local content. They want to see content that reflects themselves, their culture, their language. People are citizens in South Africa are becoming tired of American movies. They want to see themselves. So what happened in South Africa is our regulator imposed local content conditions on the broadcasters. Initially, it was difficult, but broadcasters kicked against this initially because international content was a lot cheaper. So your cost per minute for local content production is probably tenfold more than you can buy content rights from international broadcasters. But what we've seen over the years, and as this has grown, is the most lucrative material that we have, that we derive the most revenue from, is local content. So, no longer is local content something that you put on air because the regulator says you have to do it. It generates big money, and people want more and more.
All right. I'm actually being informed now that two of our colleagues are online. Tigist, can you make a sign, give us a signal, please, that you are online and alive and ready to take us on? And Tigist, please. You are there, right? Lovely. Have we lost?
I couldn't come, able to come and attend the event face to face, which I was looking forward to. But good morning from sunny Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Thank you so much. It's good to have you here. We were actually hoping to have you on the floor, but yeah, well, thank you.
Yes, it's unfortunate, a clash this week, but yes, my apologies.
All right. Please introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Perfect, thank you. So my name is Tigist Kabeda. I'm the co-founder and operations director of Habesha View, which is a streaming platform and OTT vendor working with the Pan-African communities and broadcasters and license holders. We're currently based in Ethiopia. We have North America, Europe as well, but we have an office to cover Africa in Ethiopia. We work with telcos, broadcasters, and network operators, either providing value-add service for them as partners or as a vendor for their streaming platform. So currently we've launched with a telco here in Ethiopia and a couple of other places as well. And we've got a few more news coming up in the next month or so that we could be able to share with you all guys. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much. So what challenges do you actually have in distributing contents this far from your end?
So one of the things we are fortunate with is that to be able to have our own in-house built streaming platform. So the OTT/IPTV service platform, which we have and we can customize. The challenges we're finding, as the previous panelist said, is that local content, producing or getting very good quality local content, it tends to be, if I just speak a little bit about it, so it tends to be lengthy to get those content or produce them or co-produce them or have access to them. It is through that, everybody's looking for locally created content because that's where everyone wants to see who they are themselves as well as telling their own story. They tend to be expensive, so acquiring them, even under license, is becoming more expensive, in my opinion, within Africa, making the European or North American ones much more reasonable to bring on board, just because they have much more access. They are distributing worldwide. Some African contents are not distributed worldwide as easily as the household name studios or content. So our difficulties is access to good quality original content that customers are wanting to pay to watch on our platform or similar platforms.
All right. No, thank you. And I think that also speaks to what Lynn Mansfield also mentioned, to the cost of producing content, the skills that sits on the continent to produce quality, relevant content for the audience that appeal to everyone of all the genres and age groups and all that, which is a big challenge anyway. And I think that is a common problem to most of the broadcasters, content creators and those who also want to monetize, you know, that content. My question basically is, and that is to you, Madam, you are sitting on a platform that is actually heavily being challenged. You're sitting on a platform that distributes via satellite, and at the same time, the internet is actually taking over, you know, content distribution to most of the viewers out there. And fortunately, or unfortunately, the young people that everyone wants to capture is more on the internet, actually. So the reception of that content and consumption of that content on that platform, for them it is easily accessible, and they participate actively on that platform. What is your view? What is your experience around that one?
Question. Regarding this question, I mean, the dominance of internet access over the satellite will depend on different factors. For example, it might depend on the economical consideration, infrastructure, cost of internet, the lack of also infrastructure, terrestrial infrastructure. So I can give you a different example. For example, 60% of the sub-Saharan Africa, they live in a remote area with a lack of terrestrial infrastructure. 1 out of 5 people might get a chance to access to mobile internet, which means half of the population in that area have a lack of broadband connection. So in this kind of area, what will be the important video delivery mechanism? It's going to be video. Also the cost of internet. The cost of internet, for example, a 1 GB data, a 1 GB, a person maybe trying to watch Netflix or a YouTube content, a 1 GB content on this kind of platform, and that person will have a cost of $3.33 per GB. So if that person continues viewing for 1 month's time, that's going to cost them around $99. Imagine an average sub-Saharan Africa employee will get an average monthly salary of $100. So this is also another challenge. Because of this complex challenge, most of the OTT companies in Africa in the past 2 to 3 years, it was difficult for them to exist. So we know that few of them, they existed because they are backed by a broadcaster, backed by the operators. So it's kind of complementary. You know, OTT is going to be complementary for TV. If you ask me about my country, we have 10 million TV homes positioning to our satellite. That means we have a platform that covers Ethiopia as well as East Africa. There is a dedicated satellite platform which enhances the power of education, the unity of the community. Having a dedicated satellite platform for a country will help to protect the culture. Ethiopia is part of Africa who has a diversified culture and language. So to reach this kind of audience, you need to match a content that can be addressed to this whole nation. Mm-hmm. So for me, the satellite is covering important things.
Yeah. So you have enough eyeballs, so to speak?
Yes.
And what OTT and the internet would actually provide will be just to expand and complement, you know, yes. on, right.
Yeah,
which is a fair share, you know, of the market, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, just to add on this, imagine the TV homes are growing dramatically. If you ask me, like in 2017, the TV homes were like 3.6 million. Last year, it was projected to be 11.9 million. Out of this 11.9 million, ACS is taking over 10 million TV homes in Ethiopia.
Lovely. Excellent. No, thanks for that. I'm told Mike is Mike Strano is online.
Yes, I am. Good afternoon,
Mike,
everybody.
welcome, welcome. It was a struggle to get you on here, but yeah, it's good to have you online. Mike,
Awesome.
Mike is a
Thank you.
co-founder
Good to
and
hear.
COO of My Movies Africa. Right, Mike, please tell us who you are.
Yeah, so I've been in Africa. I'm originally Australian. I've been in Africa for 25 years as a serial entrepreneur. So our latest startup is called Yakwetu, which is an entertainment technology startup. We both distribute and retail content online. Our first service is My Movies Africa, which is a platform, an OTT platform for rent or own of African movies, specializing mainly in Kenyan movies for now, but looking for other content. We're available everywhere in the world. And we've been running since September 2019. We don't have a subscription model. We offer an alternative to subscription because there are certain challenges with subscription. And we have the largest collection of Kenyan content currently available online.
So what kind of content do you specialize in, actually?
For the first service, as the brand says, My Movies Africa, it is documentaries, shorts, features, animations in the film area. But since we're a technology company, we're actually developing other services for online to get African content more online globally.
So what are the opportunities, I mean, for your company and your distribution channel, the content that you distribute, and what gap are you feeling within the market?
Yeah, so so currently what you find is in the OTT space is that the current subscription platforms can't carry everything. And as one of your previous speakers said, local content is trending, and there is a demand for local content as well. And there's also a subscriber base that doesn't want to be on subscription. So they want to, or even if they do have a subscription, they may not find what they're looking for. So there's an opportunity for them to come in and out on our platform and just rent. Also, we offer the opportunity to own. We call it Own for Life, to own a copy of the content. So we're stepping into that space where you once upon a time owned a DVD or a Blu-ray. There are some consumers that do like to collect content. So you get to own your own digital copy for life. We retain it for you as well.
Yeah.
So those are unique opportunities for us.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Lovely. I think, and that was also addressing the issue of availability of content for the different age groups and people, and expectations from the vast, complicated audience and viewers that we have out there. Good for filling that gap. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tando.
Thank you very much.
Tando, you are talking to Africa and the world about one critical content, and content that has been so much central to most of the people, especially on this continent, and that is conservation, wildlife. Do you also consider conserving people? Right. No, tell us a little bit, what are the opportunities you see within your content distribution, the type of content, and what was actually puzzling me is we see wildlife content being carried, for example, on this beautiful channel on the mostly DSTV platform, National Geographic. How do you position yourself within that market?
Thank you for your question. Firstly, maybe I have to start by mentioning the fact that I'm coming from the broadcasting field. Distribution is a new area that I'm entering after leaving the SABC. I'm more a content expert in the documentary field, But this area has really interested me because there is quite a lot of challenges that we are having across Africa around distribution. And so I thought maybe I could, lend a hand in a way, especially to assist young people, because young people are the future. And we can have all these conversations. If it doesn't filter to young people, then we would have failed. My children have got to look at me and ask me, what did you do? Distribution is one of the biggest challenges in Africa. So even when you make this content, when it comes to distribution, all the producers that you will speak to, they will tell you that they are having serious, serious challenges. Now, we're talking about nature, wildlife, environmental issues, conservation. It's a big challenge. In my country, in South Africa, it has been, and I will say that unapologetically, a white space. Having worked at the SABC, I delivered projects like 50-50, some of you will know it. All the nature, wildlife conservation content came from my genre, and every time I spoke to producers, they would tell me, we don't have, because we've got a mandate at the SABC to deliver on language, regional representation, to fill the gaps from what colonialism, apartheid had done. And you found that most of the producers that were producing documentary in the wildlife conservation area are white. And the human narratives, dramas, all the entertainment content, you now begin to see some black people there. And whenever we have to view the content, we would get the excuse that black people are not in the wildlife space and conservation. And therefore, it's difficult to get voices from those places. So when you've got an expert, you've got a white expert that talks about these issues. When you inquire, they say there is no black experts. If you find some of them, immediately when they put a camera on them, they speak in English. So it means I cannot deliver on my language mandates. These are some of the challenges that we are having. And I think these are the spaces that we should be utilizing to actually talk to those issues. I appreciate all the issues around the technical part of it, which is quite critical in positioning our content. But content is queen. Without content, even if we can get the best technologies, we will still have the challenges because you still need content to be able to fill those spaces. And these are the challenges that we are having when it comes to productions, that we need to really, it's just in South Africa about 30 years after our democracy, and we're still struggling to really be able to tell our stories. And we are struggling to push our content into the rest of the continent because we speak different languages. There's all those challenges. I just feel like we have not had the time as Africans to regroup after everything that we've been through so that we can position ourselves well. Our regulators have got a job really to ensure that regulation is able to assist Africans to position themselves in the world. We cannot continue being the recipients of everything that is given to us. We want to be at the forefront. We want to tell our own stories. This is our heritage. These are our stories. And we need to be the ones that tell those stories. National Geographic, you call them. They come to Africa and they film here in Africa. They take the stories overseas. They make a hell lot of money. And where are we? We are just singing and doing cultural dances. We want to be cinematographers. We want to be to do underwater filmmaking. We want to be at the forefront. We want to be scientists because we've got black scientists that can talk to these issues. We want to be given opportunities to do all that. And if we continue just being recipients of goodwill from overseas countries, we will never realize the Africa that our children are asking us to demand this time. Because in this boardroom, you are having one conversation. Outside here, young people are the majority, and they are saying they are tired of being followers. They want to lead. And it is up to all of us who are sitting here to position ourselves that way, so that we can realize the Africa that is united, and the relationships, the collaborations that we have with foreign countries can be realistic ones, not where Africans are just followers and recipients of favors. We want to be at the forefront. So if you've got money, please give us the money. We want to tell the story from our own perspective. We don't tell stories where animals are residing on their own and there's no people. For us Africans, there's no life of animals without human beings and the environment. All these three things are intertwined, and they will come out in those stories.
Thank you. Thando. That means I could see that you were speaking to Dr. Chacha, right? Asante sana. That is the message coming from the floor down there. Yeah, and that is, unfortunately, that is the truth, right? And thank you so much, I mean, for standing up and as a lady, you know, as strong as you are, from the outskirts of South Africa, all right, taking up, taking on, putting on the armor, right, to face the biggest giants of this world. And yeah, well, all we could do is to maybe wish you the best of luck and maybe provide you with the necessary support to take this further. It's a very critical issue that needs to be taken further, but given the time limits that we have now, I unfortunately have to take the last remarks. I think you have learned that, all right? And since you are going to have your own session as well, I mean, spare the ammunition you have, you know, for later, right? Let me go to my sister, Tigist, to give us the very last few take-homes that you want to send us home with. Tigist? Are you there?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Really enlightening conversation. So what I would like, there are two things which I would like to sort of say in the closing. One is that there are actually a lot more streaming, OTT and such type of platform out there looking for content to just, so there is a tendency to look for the bigger, well-known household names, you know, to try and reach out to them. But I'm also looking at the, you know, multiple African and other localized OTT platforms who are always looking for local content. As I was saying earlier, our struggle is trying to get good quality made original content which are locally made on time at a reasonable price. So there is that, I would like to leave that with, because as the previous speaker said, maybe it's something, you know, we have to reach out to and say this is the content that's available. They don't have to go to the big stream platforms or the big broadcasters. It could go to multiple places. That's how you can get the rest. Secondly, it's interesting